And you are an amazing athlete, because sometimes people sign a contract, and Pat, you know about this, and then they seem to let up a little bit. That does not seem to be the mindset of one Jaylon Johnson. It feels like you have the same edge, maybe even a little more edge and anger as you have had the last couple years. Is that fair to say?
I was about to say definitely more. I feel like just I don't know, just like you get to a point where it's like you try to prove yourself and you go through things. I mean, you get a new contract. God willing, I was fortunate enough to get a new contract, and it's just like I still feel like there's some doubt. And I mean, I like it. I'm not too mad at it. I'm always trying to find something to motivate me, but I still feel and believe that there's doubt in what I can do, and then really just proving it to myself that I am who I say I am. I am the person I know I am when I look in the mirror. So really just going out there and proving that day in and day out, week in and week out.
I love how you're honest. You're honest about everything. You know, the pre-game or preseason this year, you're like, we're done with the talk and let's go out and play. And I love that from being a former player. We had a guy, Mike Brown, the great safety, number 30, Mike Brown, would speak the same thing, and all of us as teammates would rally around him and be like, yep, you're right. We got your back, and let's go do this. Man, you guys had some expectations this year, and you still do. And I've got your back as well, that you guys are going to be a great defense. The first half did not start like you wanted it to. What was your mindset kind of in the middle of, say, the second quarter, and then what flipped at halftime?
I think really like we just didn't have a good quarter, I'd say. I know on one of the touchdowns we had a miscommunication that led to a gap being open, that led to the long run by Tony Pollard. So that was an uncharacteristic thing by us. And then I know pretty much the long drive, we couldn't get off the field. I know really, I mean, I should have ended the damn drive. I didn't come down with that catch over the middle, and then kind of gave him more hope, and then end up giving up the touchdown in the back of the end zone with Tariq. So I mean, I thought really just either shooting ourselves in the foot or not taking advantage of opportunities. I feel like caused us to be in the position we were in. But I mean, for the most part, I feel like for 4 quarters we dominated them. And I mean, I feel like we just had to continue to keep our foot on our throat, really, and just continue to go. I mean, I think our first 2 or 3 possessions were 3-and-outs. I think we had like 3 or 4 more 3-and-outs in the second half. Rushing yards was a lot down than it was in the first half. So, I mean, really just getting back to who we were, not shooting ourselves in the foot and go out there and making plays.
Saw someone try to frame it to you in the post game as a scare, that like that was almost a loss, you know? And you didn't, yeah, you didn't like that. Why don't you like that idea that it was a scare?
I mean, I don't know. It's just like I feel like people look, and again, I feel like kind of just going back to the hype. Like they just looked at the Bears as okay, the Bears are just this super magical team. Like, nah, at the end of the day, we did what a lot of good teams in the offseason did. They went and we added pieces. We got great draft picks, defense coming back, revamped, adding Darrell Taylor in the trade. So I mean, we did what a lot of I feel like good teams did, but that doesn't make us invincible. We, like I've been saying, we got to go out here and improve ourselves. I feel like looking at it as a scare as if we feel like we're invincible. Like, oh, David taking down Goliath. Like, nah, we haven't improved ourselves like that. So I think for me, when I hear it just like the scare, it's like, nah, that's the outside talking. That's the outside pressure trying to come in and make it seem like, oh, it's a scare. Like, nah, they're a good team too. They went and added guys. They have a good defense. So I mean, overall, it wasn't about it being a scare. At the end of the day, we got to go out here and win each week.
Yeah, the other thing is, like, this league is ridiculous, man. I saw the stat yesterday. 72% of the games last year
one possession games
were one-possession games in the fourth quarter. It's insane.
Ball, yeah.
So everybody's good enough to get to that spot in the fourth quarter. Why do you think you guys are good enough to win those games this year?
Well, I mean, really just the fight. I feel like when you have a defense that can come alive, that can score, special teams that come alive and score, that can really bring the offense with them. I feel like that's big. I feel like a lot of times you'll see it being one of those things people say, oh, yeah, it's a defensive game and the score is 10-3. You don't really see too many defensive games that end up being won at 24-17. So I think really just overall just knowing who we are on the defense side of the ball, that we can change and impact the game. And then really just having the offense just come in and finish. I think just kind of trying to find ways to play complementary ball, I think is going to help us. I mean, hopefully at some point it doesn't happen, but we're kind of anticipating that we're going to be on the other end where we can't stop an offense if they having good drives and our offense comes up and keeps putting up points and they keep capitalizing. And I mean, it's just like that. It's just a team game. We just got to figure out who has the hot hand and allow that side of the ball to bring us home.
Confidence and mentality. That's what I hear from you. And Eberflus talked about the locker room was different at halftime this year compared to years past. And I've been on those teams as well. And I got lucky to play with a lot of defenses that were really, really good. And we would be down at half, and we'd walk in, and you would see those guys do their thing at the end of the locker room, and you knew we could come out and win. Has that mentality changed for you guys? And if so, how? Like, what is it? Is just the belief in each other? Like, how is that?
I think it's one of those things where I feel like for us, we were losing a fight we know we had no business losing, and not because it was something that they were doing or just, okay, then we have to come in here and make all the adjustments. It really wasn't too many adjustments. Like, hey, let's do what we know that we can do and go out there and execute as far as the attitude on the defensive side of the ball. And even like I said, for myself, just making that big play, people staying in their gaps or being in their gaps, being where they're supposed to be. It wasn't too many big corrections or, hey, let's look out and scheme for this, scheme for that. It wasn't that type of game. It was just really going out there and executing. Because I mean, when you get out there and you're flowing, you're going through the game, you can feel like, nah, this is a game we can dominate. Yes. So once you kind of get that feeling and we're on the side and we're talking, it's like, nah, that should have been the score should have never been like that. So I think for us, just having a high expectation like that, speaking for the defense, I don't think we should have gave up more than 10 points max.
Right, but you have confidence in your players. Like you said, all you have to do is do your job, and somebody's going to come up and make a play, like yourself, Tariq Stevenson. Just that your player next to you is going to make a play, and that's just got to feel fun.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the best part about it. Is just like you never know whose day is going to be. You never know who's going to make the play because we have all those guys everywhere. It's not okay. Well, these 3 or 4 guys have to be our playmakers. It's like, nah, as long as everybody do their job, somebody's going to make the play. I mean, more times than not, or not more times than not, at times it can be the secondary, it can be the linebacker, it can be the D-line, it can be everybody together. But at the end of the day, we can't win on defense if we don't have everybody doing their job and letting everybody else eat around them.
We're talking to Jaylon Johnson here on 670 The Score. It's me, Matt Spiegel, and Patrick Manley, and The Score's afternoon show. So Phillips Chevrolet is hanging out with Jaylon. You're going to be at our place tomorrow. I just heard you're going to be rolling around these studios, shooting some videos for Phillips Chevrolet. Can we get you anything? What beverage would you like to have here in the middle of the day tomorrow, Jaylon?
Really, I'll probably say a water and a crayon apple. I love a good little crayon apple on the plane. It got to be in the can, though. It can't just be in the bottle. Something about the can make it a little better. So if I can get that, I'll be good.
Okay, crayon apple in a can. We can do that. So you'll have the Phillips Chevy, but what is that going to mean for the Vanderhall? What is it going to mean for the Vanderhall Carmel? That's the name of the car that you have, right? Yeah. That is a remarkable vehicle. It is.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at it. Do you have the Carmel GTS, the Carmel GT? Which one do you have, Jaylon?
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's the GTS. It could be.
What's the most expensive one?
Yeah,
that's what it's going to be, right? It better be.
Yeah, it's the most expensive one is the GTS.
It's got to be the best one.
Which one? How much is that one?
$49,950 is the list.
Nah, I don't think that's the one I got. I got the other
one. Well, I mean, but that is a sweet ride. Do you use it in all situations? Like, do you get cold on the highway when you're using that thing?
Man, let me tell you what happened. So this weekend, I had already planned to take it, and it's been a great week. Sun's been out, it's feeling pretty good. So
yeah.
For some reason on Saturday, I decided it wanted to kind of get a little chilly, get to the 60s, and I'm like, okay, damn. So I'm driving. I'm like, man, it's cold as hell. But cold as heck. I already committed myself, so I'm driving. I end up finding a way to turn the heater on, so I'm driving downtown. Sun starts going down, so now I'm in the shadows. So I'm thinking the faster you go, okay, I'm just get there quicker, be over with. Nah, the colder it got. So I ended up hitting some traffic. Didn't have no more breeze and kind of just cruise with my heat on. So I was all right. And then on the way up, it was a lot better. It wasn't as cold. So
did T-Med give you a jacket after the game?
Nah, I was all right. Surprisingly, I was all right. It was a little warmer.
What's the coolest thing about it? What's the coolest thing about it, Jaylon? And are you going to get better at parking it as well? Is another question.
Why you say better at parking? Like I can't park it.
He's being careful. I think he was being careful with it.
Look, there was a video yesterday that went a little bit viral. It looked like you backed into the spot and then pulled it up and then backed in again and then pulled it up again. There was a lot of entries to your parking job yesterday.
That's crazy because for one, all the dang news trucks with the cameras are all in the way. So it's not like you can just pull in to the left and then reverse back smooth. So I had to go in from a weird angle and get straight. I could have just left it on my first one and been all crooked, but I was trying to line it up and get straight. But I see those people recording me in the midst of me trying to straighten up my car. But it's all good. But no, I mean, my favorite thing is probably like, that's tough. My favorite thing, I would just say ride is like smooth. It's not like irky jerky. It's pretty much like a smooth ride. Of course, you can put the top on and off. And then really, I feel like just like the attention, like people think it's fun. Like well, it is fun, but people can see it and like are interested and want to talk to me about it and different things like that. So I feel like it's not definitely hasn't been, oh, well, I've seen one of those, or yeah, those are common. It's, oh, I've never seen one of these. What is it? Everybody kind of calls it a slingshot and all different things like that. So I mean, it's pretty fun driving it around, letting people see it.
Well, where do you drive it after the game? When I played after the game, I would go have a beer in the back of my car at Soldier Field, and then me and a bunch of guys and families would go to O'Toole's and hang out for a little while. Where do you and that car go after a game?
I mean, I just went to go eat with my family at Soleil, a soul food restaurant downtown before I headed back up, back home. So I mean, it just depends on the day. Sometimes I'll go to Steak 48 or I'll go to the soul food spot, but it really just depends.
Jaylon Johnson was the #1 cornerback in the league yesterday, according to Pro Football Focus, and the numbers. Do you look at that? Do you look at that on a weekly basis, or no?
Nah, I don't have. I mean, I guess I could Google it, but I don't look at it. I mean, most of the time, stuff like that's posted on Twitter, Instagram, which I don't have still. So I don't really see it unless somebody, of course, brings it to my attention or shows that, hey, this is what it was. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's not for me. I don't look at it right now. That would be something that if I do, or when I do look, that'll be at the end of the year, because that's when it really matters.
You got 1 interception yesterday. You could add 2. That first one was off your fingertips, wasn't it?
It definitely hit my hands.
Yeah.
Hey, when you're preparing, I always like to ask, like, former teammates and great players like yourself, every week you're going against the top receiver, right? So when you're preparing for like Calvin Ridley, how do you do that? When you watch the tape, are you watching guys that are similar to you? Obviously, you're going to watch maybe the last 4 or 5 games and their scheme and the coordinator, but do you watch guys that have a similar skill set to you going against a Ridley?
Definitely. I think too. It's crazy because there's not too many corners that I would say I just go and watch, depending on like the matchup and depending on the style of play. I kind of try to watch guys that I think are similar in style to myself. So kind of sometimes and it depends on where they play at. They play to the field where I would see a lot of that action. Then I'll kind of watch it from that angle. If I know they play to the boundary, then sometimes I watch more schematics. Okay, just what they like to do. If he's to the boundary, what they like to do opposite of him, what kind of routes they like to do. But I think overall, kind of just going into it, just trying to figure out where the receiver's going to be at, where their favorite targets are, what they do when they're pressed, what they do when they have man, or if they're in cover 2, kind of just different things like that. Because, the offense is always trying to hunt for what you're doing, so you can kind of anticipate what they're going to do based on the coverage that you're in. So kind of just trying to always be those few steps ahead. But you can definitely find out a lot of tendencies based on how they go against some of the other top DBs in the league, I say.
So you got a chance yesterday, Jaylon Johnson, like all of us, to watch Caleb Williams operate in the NFL for the first time. I don't think he looked rattled. And regardless of the numbers, I felt like I saw poise, and that gives me some confidence, even though the numbers and the execution were not there. What was your perception, though, of watching Caleb Williams as a rookie in his first start ever?
What was my perception? I mean, honestly, I feel like it's hard to really put a pin on it, because I feel like I wasn't looking at I wasn't looking at him. I was just more so watching the offense operate, and overall, I feel like top to bottom, it was a lot of things that could have been done maybe different or better, of course. But I mean, for me, like I said, I kind of stay in my lane. I don't know if it's, oh, well, yeah, Caleb could have did this, and this. I mean, of course, I feel like there are some things that he could have wanted to do better, some throws or something he won back. But I mean, that's everybody, I would say, despite having numbers or not having numbers. But at the end of the day, I think it takes more. It's a lot that goes into it, and I don't try to go and find out what it was. Oh yeah, he was missing this read and doing that. That's not what I do. So I mean, to your point, I can add and say that he definitely was poised. It wasn't ever a time where he was just like, I would say, flustered. Definitely frustrated at times, like the whole offense was. So I mean, it's just I mean, I would say a give a damn factor as far as him and wanting to play and offense being at a certain level, and they weren't at that level. So of course there was some frustration in that.
Well, yeah, then speak to what you can speak to, which is that the mindset, his demeanor, and how he was as a teammate, like during the game and after the game. How was that part of it?
I mean, after the game, he was good. I mean, we won. So, I mean, it wasn't like he was just sitting around in the corner, just kind of like moping around because he didn't have a good enough game. But I feel like really just during the game, of course, like I said, he was frustrated. I mean, the whole offense was frustrated. It wasn't like the people were coming back to the sideline happy and he was just over there moping around. I mean, at the end of the day, they didn't score a touchdown. So, I mean, that's not up to the standard they want to be at. They know that they have high level playmakers at all levels. So I think for them just knowing what the standard is and just not meeting that standard, there's going to be frustration with that, especially with the guys that we have that want to win, that want to perform and do things at a certain level. So, I mean, I'm sure they're going to get it all back next week, and then we'll just continue to build.
See, this all felt so familiar to Bears fans, Jaylon. Like the defense getting a touchdown, special teams getting a touchdown, and the offense getting under 150 yards. It's like we talked about a different kind of thing all offseason, but in the end, this felt like a Bears game that we're familiar with. Do you think it's going to change? You think the offense is going to get better? You think you guys are going to have a multifaceted way to win games here on out?
Definitely. Honestly speaking, I feel like for myself, I feel like people think that Rome was built in a day, and everybody is on this. Oh, well, C.J. Stroud had this outstanding rookie season, and it's like kind of just hearing some numbers. I think he threw the ball 44 times in his debut. So it's like, I mean, I'm sure if you give Caleb that same amount of opportunities, he's going to have more yards. He's going to do that. I feel like that wasn't the style of the game for one. And then really, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they lost their home or not home opener. They lost their first game. So it's like, I mean, there's a lot of things you can compare it to and all these different things. But at the end of the day, it's not easy to come in here and be a rookie quarterback, number one pick, come here and just perform and think it's just going to be peaches and cream. At the end of the day, we gotta come in here and work. And we told him in the beginning, I mean, throughout camp, it's like, nah, we're going to get in here and we're going to work because we know it's not just going to come in here and be easy. I mean, nobody expected that. So I feel like at the end of the day, it would have been more surprising if they came and shredded them and put up 35 damn points. That would have been, I didn't expect that. But I think for myself, it's just more so just being patient, knowing what it's going to be at the end of the day. I mean, not just him being a rookie quarterback, but I'm sorry, I keep getting a phone call. Not just him being a rookie, a rookie quarterback, but we also have a first-year coordinator as well. We have a lot of people that are new. Keenan Allen's coming in; he's new. Gerald Everett's new. I mean, we have some new alignments, some new pieces. So everybody's trying to figure it all out. It's not just Caleb being the only piece plugged in, and he just has to come in here and just be Superman. Like, nah, everybody's trying to figure it out, and he just has to continue to stick to the script and go from there.
All right, you guys went against a young quarterback in Will Levis. I think had 9 starts. You had Kevin Byard who played with him last year. When you are going against a quarterback like that, that's not established, that's kind of loose with the ball, do you get a little more excited? Right. And was Kevin giving you maybe some tips of what to expect maybe late in the game if it gets a little tight on him?
I mean, it wasn't too many tips. I feel like at the end of the day, the tape speaks for itself. As far as kind of just like some tendencies, some things that he could possibly do. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think for us as a defense going in, we knew that they were going to try to establish the run, and the only way to get him to give us opportunities to go take the ball was to stop the run. I feel like that's what happened in the second half. I feel like the first half, it wasn't too many outside of the one to really, there wasn't really any down the field shots. There wasn't really anything that was crazy, kind of just keeping it simple, running the ball. And then in the second half, when you take the run away, you only having 60 rushing yards, you got to put the ball in the air. And then that's when you get more opportunities for a mistake, for trying to get the ball out of bounds. It doesn't go all the way out of bounds. Throwing it to the number one corner when you shouldn't have. I mean, just little things like that just start to happen when you have to put the ball in there.
Yep, that's what I was excited for. And then, all right, Tyreek's got one, you've got one. Do you guys have a friendly wager? Do you have a friendly wager at the end of the year? You have to have something, right?
We got a lot of competition going on. Man. I can't give you too many details, but we definitely compete.
You got to keep that within the room. I know the NFL rules now. You can't talk about it.
No doubt. Does he get to use the Vanderhall? He get to use the Vanderhall if he wins?
Nah, I might get him a zone or something. Put a little reek something on the front of him. Or something.
There it is.
Awesome.
Jaylon, the Texans. You mentioned the Texans. That's a real team. That's a real offense. That's a real good young quarterback. You getting Nico Collins or Tank Dell, or are you just gonna play on either side? What do you think about this matchup coming up?
I ain't gonna lie to you, I love it. This one has been circled. I haven't circled too many games in my career. I feel like this is definitely one that is circled for sure. Just the respect that I have for the guys on that team. I mean, I was a fan of Tank Dell coming out of college, been a fan of Stephon Diggs and what he's been able to do in this league. Nico is one of those up and coming guys, of course. CJ Stroud, I mean, being from Cali, doing what he's doing as a rookie. I mean, there's definitely a lot of things that you love. I've always loved D'Amico Ryans as a coordinator when he was in San Fran. I love the way that he had his passion and the way that he called the defense. It's fun to see. So I mean, for me, just looking at it, excited for the opportunity. Want to walk in there and look to dominate. I mean, my mentality doesn't change. I want to go in there and give him hell. So I mean, that's all I'm focused on. Starting to watch the tape, watch the film, get comfortable, get confident with some of the things that they're doing, understand some of the schemes, where they want to attack, who they want to attack, and then the day you take away the explosives, and you go make plays in the air. I feel like it'll be a good game for us.
All right, and listeners want to know if you got a new place or just have the batteries and the smoke alarm all secure at this point because we don't hear it.
Nah, I'm in a different location right now.
Okay, all right. Well, Jaylon, we will see you tomorrow and say hello when you're in here with
Yes,
Phillips
sir.
Chevrolet, man. So thanks so much for doing it every week, and we're looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna see you guys in a little bit.
All right, there you go. That's Jaylon Johnson right here on 670 The Score.